All right, I will go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:10 p.m. The University of Central Florida respectfully acknowledges that the University of Central Florida is located on the traditional lands of the Ais, Appalachee, Calusa, Timucua, and Tocobago tribes, as well as the Seminole Tribe of Florida and the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida. Roll call and verification of quorum, Pro Tem Kaufman.
Hagenbook.
Do we have audio?
I don't know.
I'm not seeing that on here. Or yes, you can.
Yeah.
Let me try this. Can everyone hear us online?
Can you speak into the mics a little bit more, maybe?
Okay, try it.
All right, let's restart. Hagenbook. Reed.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
For everyone that is in person, if you could also join the Teams call as well to vote.
Owen, can you do a test from your microphone, please?
Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
We're going to start again with roll call and verification of quorum, Pro Tem Kaufman.
Hagenbook. Can't hear them.
Can we have somebody on Teams try to speak and see if we can hear that from here?
Farmers Alliance.
I'm assuming they tried to speak there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna try again with just having Ashley's volume on. I don't know if that's gonna. Yeah, no, I don't think. Okay, yeah, never mind. Oh, if somebody could try speaking again right now, we got it fixed. Maybe not. Thanks, Elias, for your help. If you could try one more time speaking. Nope. All right, we're gonna try to let them get this figured out. Is there a motion for a 5-minute recess? And any objections? Hearing none, we'll come back at 6:25. In this meeting at 6:25 p.m. We're going to try roll call and verification of quorum again. Not Dele, Pro Tem Kaufman.
Hagenbook, Reed,
We did just have it working, so I'm not sure. Elias, can we test this one more time? Thanks for your help. Wait, I heard him really softly, I thought. Elias, if you could try again.
Elias said he can't hear. Someone is talking. He cannot hear.
Oh.
Elias, can you hear us? And if so, could you try speaking? I'm going to take that as a neither.
He said yes.
Oh, he
saw
did.
too. Okay.
Okay. All right. What we're going to do while they continue to sort that out is for roll call, if you could just type here and then only when Pro Temp Kaufman says your name, hit send so that they go in order. We're going to try to get through roll call at the very least.
Hagenbook. I can't see the chat, so someone got to tell me. Okay. Reed. Okay. Olivia Smith.
Present.
Casemiro. Capinos. Sadvika. Whacker. Critchfield. Jane.
Here.
Kelly Perez. Sherman's here. Danae Smith. Bella Leahy. Gentile. Greg. Lusht.
Here.
McNulty.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Patel. Rashid.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
El Harak. Gaudio. Kanuja.
Here.
Cranova. Rickett. Hayter. Macadia.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Beauvais.
Here.
Montanez. Nunez Ferreira. Wen. Habgood.
Here.
Perez.
Here.
Barber. I got that.
Here.
Barrios. Here. Grosso.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Matthews.
Here.
McCrae.
Here.
Nushra Madavra.
Here.
Renda. Sheriff. Simmons. Vieira. Zivin.
Here.
No, 41 out of 50 quorum is verified.
All right, thank you. And just briefly, for those of you online, you can see the great lengths that we've gone to sort of accommodate those of you who are not here. So if you could just have your cameras on, I would really appreciate that little bit of respect. It is required. Yeah. I'll reiterate that in my Senate announcements. But yeah, approval of the minutes. Take a look at last meeting's minutes. And is there a motion to approve last meeting's minutes? And is there a motion to approve this meeting's agenda? Open forum. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in open forum? Seeing none. Announcements from the student body president, President Vicario. They can hear. I apologize. I guess. Are there any questions for the student body president? Senator Barrios.
Hi, have you had a chance to meet with the Board of Trustees yet or no?
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the student body vice president, Vice President Jones.
All right, everyone. Good evening. Just really quickly, this week I helped wrap up the Judicial Council interviews, so congrats to all the newly appointed justices. Other than that, I've been holding meetings and completing prep for our first and second round of cabinet confirmations, which will continue tonight. Other than that, that's all for me.
Any questions for the vice president? Seeing none, thank you. Comptroller's report, none. Attorney General's report, none. Cabinet forum, none. Announcements from the Interim Chief Justice, Interim Chief Justice Hoffner.
Hi, Senate. I first want to thank President Vicario and Vice President Jones for their support with the Associate Justice interviews. We were super excited for all you to see the newly appointed justice in the coming weeks. It was a very competitive applicant pool of 31 students, and we are very excited to hopefully welcome 10 appointees to the branch in a couple of weeks. Finally, I would like to thank our sitting justices for their support with the interview process and taking on additional impartial advising cases during the transition period. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Any questions for the Interim Chief Justice? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the Interim Supervisor of Elections, looks like none. Announcements from the Senate President. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your first week in Senate or your first week back if you're returning. Thank you again for bearing with us as we sort of work through those technical difficulties. And I know I already said this, but for those of you who are virtual, it is mandatory to have your cameras on. If it's not on, your vote won't count and you could potentially be charged an absence by failing to participate in those votes. And that being said, for today's business, we have lots of confirmations. So I'll be enforcing a maximum of 3 questions per senator per appointee and a maximum of 1 minute per debate or of debate per senator per appointee again. Please ensure that you've read the appointees' proposals as well as the ENA minutes, which are linked in the chair's announcements. Questions that have already been asked in committee will not be seen on the floor. Additionally, throughout the meeting, I expect all of you to remain professional, to keep questions relevant, and direct all debate at the chair. It is not the role of Senate to determine whether an appointee is the best person for the position. It's just our job to determine whether, based upon their experience and their initiatives, they are qualified for the role. Next, just in terms of meeting operations, I want to quickly refresh everyone on using seconds. When a senator makes a motion, such as moving to debate or moving to vote, someone needs to second that motion for it to be seen. Anyone can second a motion without being called on, so you can just say second after the motion is made, and so that way we can keep things running smoothly. Finally, I hereby appoint Abigail Matthews for internal legislative assistant and Olivia Smith for external legislative assistant. I also plan to appoint a sergeant at arms, but due to summer being hybrid and the busy confirmation schedule we already have, I will be waiting to make that appointment until the fall. Are there any questions for me? Seeing none, announcements from the Senate President Pro Tempore.
All right, hello, Senate. All of the committee chairs should have the permanent summer meeting time in their announcements. Please use these times to determine what committees you will be a part of this summer if the current one does not fit your schedule. If you missed day 2 of Senate orientation, please expect an email from me very soon to schedule a makeup orientation. And fiscal training is due 10 academic days after being sworn in. So for most of us, it's going to be next Thursday. If you've already completed the 2025-2026 fiscal training, please send me a copy of your scores proving this. If you have not yet taken the training, please use the link provided there to take it, and then submit a screenshot of your scores. And you must pass the web course with at least 80%. Ethics training is also due in 4 weeks after being sworn in. The training has been completely updated, so all senators must complete it. Once you pass with at least 80%, again, please submit your scores to me and use that link to access the training. For those that do not complete the fiscal and ethics training in time, I will be issuing notifications of noncompliance, so please submit your fiscal training scores by next Thursday and your ethics training scores by June 11th to be safe. And finally, for appointments, I hereby appoint Adeline Habgood for the Deputy Pro Tempore of Legislative Affairs and Kayla Mar Montanez for the Deputy Pro Tempore of Senate Relations.
Are there any questions for the Pro Tempore? Seeing none. Fiscal Committee report, CRT Committee.
Hi, guys. Thank you all for electing me as chair. Over the summer, we will be meeting hybrid on Thursday at 10 a.m. At our next meeting, we will hold vice chair elections and approve our quarterly budget for the upcoming fiscal year. I'm going to work on trying to open the request form as soon as possible, and just let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions for the CRT chair? Seeing none, FAO Committee, Chair Phillips. Any questions for the FAO chair? Seeing none, ORS Committee, Chair Casimiro.
Hey everyone, thank you for electing me as your ORS chair. Based on the when to meet, ORS will be meeting at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays this summer in the SG conference room or online through Teams. If this time works for you, please join our committee. It's fun. We'll be electing our vice chair next week and having a mock ORS meeting. Any questions, please reach out to me on Teams.
Any questions for the ORS chair? Seeing none, fiscal legislation, none, internal committee caucus time. I recess this meeting at 6:40 p.m. to come back at 7 o'clock. If you're leaving the chamber, please remain quiet as you do so.
I call this meeting to order at 6:42 p.m. Roll call and verification of quorum. Pro Temp Coffin, if you could.
Grosso.
Here.
Gaudio. Rickett. Habgood. Matthews. Nunez Ferreira. Bella Leahy. Lucht. Beauvais.
Here.
Capinos. I'm here. Okay. I'll turn it. I'll just. 8 out of 10 quorum is verified.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting earlier this week? Okay, is there a motion to approve today's agenda? So for today's caucus meeting, we'll be seeing William Menke. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'll find out in a sec. The appointee for comptroller. It'll run the same as our meeting earlier this week. Again, there's a question diary in the miscellaneous documents folder that has possible questions for appointees if you want to look at that. Announcements from the Vice Chair Gaudio. You have any announcements? Okay. Seeing none, announcements from non-committee members. All right, seeing none, old business, none. We'll move on to new business, executive appointments. The comptroller appointee can come up and is there a motion for 5-10-10? Okay. He's got it. Okay, how do you pronounce your last name? Mankey. Okay, you have 5 minutes to speak. Just give me 1 second to pull up the clock. And so whenever you're ready.
To the Election and Appointments Committee, thank you for the opportunity to stand before you today. My name is William Mankey, and I'm a rising senior pursuing a degree in finance, and I'm honored to stand as your appointee for the Student Body Comptroller. 3 years ago, I arrived at the University of Central Florida from out of state with nothing but a suitcase and a significant amount of uncertainty. I left behind the familiar to come to a place where I did not know a single soul. No support system, no safety net, just a campus of 60,000 people and the overwhelming feeling of being just another face in the crowd. I remember that feeling of being surrounded by a sea of opportunity, yet not knowing how to dive in. It took more than just time to find my place. It took the courage to step outside of my comfort zone and the willingness to build a home from the ground up. That experience changed my perspective forever. It taught me that belonging isn't an accident, it's built. Behind every organization that gives a student a sense of purpose and every event that sparks a lifelong friendship, there's a system of support making it possible. I realized that if you want to protect the student experience, you have to protect the foundation it sits on. My journey through leadership has been a lesson on the importance of integrity and impact. In my first semester as a member of Delta Sigma Pi, America's foremost co-ed business fraternity, I was elected chancellor, where I was responsible for upholding the chapter's bylaws, policies and procedures, and standards committee processes. It taught me that to treat governing documents not as obstacles, but as the framework that makes fair execution possible, and to enforce them consistently, regardless of who is on the other side of the table. As vice president of new member education for that same chapter, I realized that leadership isn't about managing tasks. It's about building people. I learned how to translate complex expectations into clear communication, turning 25 strangers into a unified team. Since the fall 2025 semester, I have served as chapter secretary of Pi Kappa Alpha. In this position, I serve as the keeper of our records, where I learned that accuracy and documentation is not bureaucratic, it's protective. It's what allows an organization to defend its decisions and earn the trust of the people it serves. I've had the honor to represent both of these organizations not just on a campus level, but on a national scale by attending professional leadership and networking conferences in Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Virginia Beach, Virginia. These experiences taught me the value of organizational diligence and the discipline required to represent something larger than yourself with consistency and care. They have also shown me what strong governance looks like in practice. Chapters and organizations that thrive are the ones where structure, transparency, and accountability are not afterthoughts, but the foundation on which everything else is built. Each of these roles has taught me the same lesson from a different angle. Accountability is not paperwork, it is trust, demonstrated consistently. The Comptroller's Office is fundamentally about that trust. Title IV and Title VIII of the Student Body Statutes gives this position a clear charge to oversee the allocation and accountability of student funds. I have studied that charge carefully, and the conclusion I continuously draw is that the office's two main responsibilities, being accountable and being approachable, are not in conflict. They reinforce each other. A comptroller who is approachable hears about problems early, and a comptroller who is accountable addresses those problems immediately and fairly. That belief shapes how I intend to approach this office. Protecting student funds means protecting the students those funds represent, and it means building processes that are transparent by default, not by request. It means equipping RSO leaders with the knowledge and confidence to navigate the budgeting process rather than asking them to navigate the complexities alone. It also means treating every cycle as an opportunity to listen, refine, and improve, because a stronger office next year is the truest measure of a job well done this year. This is precisely the system I needed when I was a freshman, trying to find my footing here. It is a system that says to every student, your opportunity is supported, your voice is heard, and your funds are handled with the care they deserve. I came to UCF not knowing anyone. I stand here knowing exactly where I belong. If confirmed, I will work every day to build the same sense of belonging, that same standard of service and compliance for every student this office serves. Thank you, and I yield my time for questions.
Thank you. We are going to a 10-minute period of questions. Senator Lucht, you may.
Hello, thank you for being here. Could you tell me the statutory duties of the comptroller?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for your question. Statutory duties of the comptroller are to serve as the CFO of student government, be the main liaison between student government and RSOs, requesting funding, serve in full capacity in the position until the successful confirmation of the next presidential appointment, or if a 30-day interim were to be in place, record current and accurate transactions, report to Senate weekly, account balances and reversion rates, notify the president for approval and the Senate for acknowledgement of any account balances, account transfers greater than 10%.
And my second question is, how will you work with the ANSF committee, Senate fiscal committees, and UCF agencies during budget planning?
Yeah, so I will work very directly with those three, all of those committees. So I intend to use the time period over the summer to set up initial meetings, introductory, and then set up within the budgeting process kind of what kind of route we want to take. I will, with the ANSF office, I will look at past budgeting and see how that went. I will also reach out to past comptrollers and work with the ANSF business office director to see kind of the best route to go within the budgeting process.
Senator Capinos. You may.
Thank you for the question, Senator. Sorry about that. I have worked, I've been in contact with this past comptroller about kind of the game plan again and what that commitment looks like. And I fully intend on committing the entire rest of my college career, my senior year, to this position and working with the student body. So I have loved my time spent in RSOs, but the leadership there has, brought me here. And so this is a place I'm very glad to be in, should I be confirmed. And I do intend on spending all of my time fully dedicated to this role.
Senator Lucht.
Kind of piggybacking off of that question, do you have any previous budgeting experience, and how will that experience help you in this role?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Again, I do have experience working with RSO Finances, serving three total terms on the executive board. They come up quite frequently, and this past semester I have also had the chance to attend a leadership conference funded by the CRT, so I'm familiar with that process as well. And then going back to the RSO budgeting process again, it's something that comes up very tangentially, as I do use the funds that are budgeted by the vice presidents of finances in each of those organizations. So it is something that I'm well prepared for, and I do think I can confidently apply that to this role.
Senator Matthews.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us today. I saw on your proposal you have an initiative about bridging the gap between UCF's main and auxiliary campuses, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that and how you look to facilitate that.
Yeah, so with that, again, thank you for your question. I do plan to work with the Intercampus and Transfer Caucus to see if that there are any expenses that they would like, or any initiatives that they would like to fund, again, working with the main caucus leadership. And seeing that if that's something that we would be able to kind of co-collaborate on, again, just to bring more funding transparency to them, and then more involvement here with the main campus.
Senator Lux.
Hi. Will you be able to hold the 4 finance office meetings, and how are you going to kind of run those meetings?
Yeah, so I will be able to hold each of the finance office meetings, one being per quarter of the fiscal year. I'd be okay to send out a when to meet, whether it be a hybrid or Teams meeting. I work better in person, so preferably I would like to hold some time here on campus to do those. And then for those 4 statutory meetings, and then for anything else that would come up, should the finance office need to be involved, I would collaborate in the finance office teams chat, and then see kind of what best time we would have to meet up. Again, should anything arise that they would need to be privy to.
We do have about 5 minutes remaining for questions. Pro Tem.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now in a 10-minute period of debate. Senator Matthews.
I will be voting in favor. This candidate seems very qualified, and he obviously studied his statutes. He knows the comptroller's duties, and he seems like he can fulfill this role.
Senator Capinos. There's been a motion to move the vote. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. We'll do a roll call vote. Pro Tem, could you do that? Yes. I could also do that. Okay. I abstain. Gotti is absent. Okay, I actually can't see this thing on my computer. All right. Senator Rickett is absent. Senator Habgood. Senator Matthews.
4.
Senator Ferreira. Absent. Senator Bielecki. Senator Lucht. Senator Boisvert.
4.
Senator Capinos. Pro Tem. Right? Okay. So what's the vote? With a vote count of 7-0 to 1, appointee, what was it, Menke? Okay, you have passed through ENA, so we will see you today on during the meeting. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to member discussion. Okay, seeing none miscellaneous business, I will see you all virtually next Tuesday. So not next, like next week on Tuesday. Final roll call. I'm here. Vice Chair Gotti is absent. Senator Rickett absent. Habgood. Matthews. Ferreira. Absent. Bielecki. Lucht, Boybear,
Here.
Capinos, Pro Temp Rep. Okay, same as initial. What was the? Okay, with a roll call of it's same as initial. I adjourn this meeting at 6:57 p.m.
All right, I reconvene this meeting at 7 o'clock p.m. Internal committee reports, E&A Committee Chair Grosso.
Hello, everybody. In this week's meeting, we saw the following executive appointments. I apologize in advance if I get the names wrong. Gia Arbucci for Chief of Staff with a vote count 7-0 Sophia Leisman, Deputy Chief of Staff 6-0 Andrea Ruiz Bordas, Attorney General 5-1 Sophie Creighton, Director of Student Affairs 6-0 Zoe Malone, Director of Communications 6-0 Caitlin Manny, Governmental Affairs Coordinator 6-0 During the caucus time, we saw William Menke, the appointment for Comptroller 7-0 In the interest of saving time when we go through these appointments in Senate, I ask that we try to avoid asking questions to the appointees that were already asked in committee. So I guess before you ask a question, just make sure it hasn't already been addressed in the agendas that are linked. Besides that, meetings will occur every Tuesday at 4 p.m. going forward this summer. Next week, we will continue with appointments for the rest of the executive cabinet. Thank you.
Any questions for the E&A Chair? Seeing none, GAP Committee Chair Reed. Any questions for the GAP Chair? Seeing none, LGR Committee Chair Gaudio is not here. I'll just read out. Good evening. My apologies that I cannot be with you all tonight. I will be present starting next week. Last week, chair elections were held. Our permanent meeting time will be Thursdays at 3 p.m. I highly recommend everyone consider joining our committee as it is a great environment to learn the internal functions of student government. I'd like to briefly go over the absence policy for those unfamiliar. If you are absent from initial and/or final roll call during a Senate meeting, you will accrue a half absence for each roll call you miss or a full absence if you miss the entire meeting. If you accrue more than 2 absences, you'll be dismissed from your seat. You may apply to have an absence excused by the LJR committee by filling out a form on Night Connect where you must justify why you were not present, and the committee will decide whether or not to excuse your absence. Please include any documentation supporting your claims and or its necessity. If your documentation is insufficient, then the committee is likely to postpone or may deny your request. The form can be found in the Night Connect as Senator Absence Request Form or through this link. You must be logged in to access the form. If you cannot access the form after logging in, speak to the advisor to be added to the Student Government Night Connect group. And if you have any questions for the LJR chair, you can Teams him. SBA Committee Chair Perez.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for electing me as chair. Starting next week, SBA will be meeting on Fridays at 4 during the summer, and we will have an online option. We will be doing our vice chair elections at the next meeting, so if you're interested or have any questions, please reach out. We will also start going over our plans for the summer semester in preparation for the fall.
Any questions for the SBA chair? Seeing none, we will move right into confirmations. First up is Adeline Habgood for Deputy Pro Tempore of Legislative Affairs. And is there a motion for speeches, questioning, and debates? Senator Matthews.
Motion for a 555.
There's been a motion for a 555 and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Senator Habgood, you'll have 5 minutes whenever you are ready. Probably one of the seats. Is that one more thing? Okay, yeah. I'm pulling it up. I'm just going to present and then I'm going to confirm with them. They can actually see it. But. Can people online see the presentation? Okay, perfect. Thank you. 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Happy second Senate meeting. I will try to speak quickly. So Pro Tempore Coffin has appointed me to this position. So I'd love to share some of my qualifications and proposals. Some background on me. I am relatively new to Senate, and I do represent CREOL, the College of Optics and Photonics. So I am a photonic engineering major with a biology minor. I joined SGLC last year and then SLC. I was appointed in the 57th session and then elected for the 58th session. Thank you. Some things that have prepared me for a role like this. I went through the International Baccalaureate program in high school and earned my IB diploma. If anyone is familiar with that program, it includes a lot of writing. I also competed in Model United Nations, and I now volunteer helping to run MUN conferences. This includes a lot of researching, writing, and collaborating on legislation-style resolutions. And this is originally what got me interested in legislation and bill writing. Next slide, thank you. So my proposals, so sort of my more internal proposals, and these are kind of in alignment with the things that Speaker Sherman spoke about. My first big goal is for all senators at the end of our session to be able to point to something on a bill, on anything that they have contributed to. This doesn't mean everyone has to submit their own 3-page piece of legislation. We don't have time for that, but maybe a non-technical amendment, maybe something that they added in committee or took out in committee, whatever it is, they can point to it and say, I contributed to this piece of legislation. So some of the ways I want to do that is I want to host lots of legislation workshops, hopefully at least for a semester or by chair request in individual committees. And I'll also commit to being in the office as much as I possibly can and also available on Teams. I also think fun incentives would be great. The Pro Temp's office could pick a senator each month who's done exemplary jobs in their legislation and have them be legislator of the month. Maybe we have like a fun feather pen that you get for that month. And I'd also love to make a physical simplified flow chart of our legislative processes to hang up in the office, as well as a little legislation tracker that I can upkeep in addition to our very helpful Excel legislation tracker. Next slide, thank you. My second overall goal is to have greater awareness of Senate's activities by the general student body. So I'd like to work with the ELA and graphics to feature around 3 past pieces of legislation each month on the SG Instagram. I'd like to also include more in-depth Senate updates and bill summaries in UCF announcements if we are able to, and maybe in the GAP newsletter if the committee likes that idea. Next slide, please. I'd also like to host more RSO-oriented fiscal workshops semi-frequently, so our RSOs have as many opportunities as possible to be informed on our fiscal processes and hopefully cut down on some of the work that our fiscal chairs have to do just answering questions by RSOs about how to apply for funding. And I'd like to work with the Pro Temp, Comptroller, and fiscal chairs to update the RSO ASNF financial training web course. Like the workshops, this would hopefully cut down on some of the questions that our chairs get. And finally, I'd like to work with SBA, if they like the idea, to create a physical comment box outside of our office. I think this is a really simple way to just connect with our constituents a tiny bit more, and as well as just give us a box of ideas we could pull from for bill ideas. All right. last slide. All right, thank you very much. I know I'm fairly new to Senate, but I promise I am a fast learner and a hard worker, and I do actually really like going through legislation. So I would love to serve in this role. Thank you for your consideration. You can enjoy my pets. You guys can't see it. Never mind.
All right, we're now into 5 minutes of questioning. Are there any questions? Senator Barrios.
So during your speech, you were talking about how you would want legislation, at least 3 pieces per month to be posted on the UCF SG Instagram. Do you have a system or idea as to how you would decide like what would be the most important because there's bound to be more than 3 pieces of legislation submitted per month?
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe doing one of each type, like maybe one proclamation, one resolution, depending on that. Maybe working with the LA to see that, or even submitting it to like which senator wants their bill to be posted, and then kind of going from there. So maybe be decided by the pro temp's office, or we can vote on it in Senate.
Are there any other questions? Barrios.
Very sorry again. So this is a very intensive job with a lot of writing, like you said. I was in the IB program. Trust me, we're both warriors in that aspect. But will you have time to be writing all the fiscal legislation, because it can be very mountainous?
That's a good question. Thank you. I have not served in this position before, so I do not know the exact time requirements, but I can say I am very committed to this. I actually cut down my credit load already. I was supposed to be taking 15. I removed that, so I'm down to 12. And I do have a few other commitments, but this is definitely my number one priority as outside of classes. So I do believe I will have time for this.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move into a 5-minute period of debate. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate for this candidate? Senator Jones and then Barrios.
Yeah, I will definitely be voting in favor for this candidate. I know she's a newer senator, but last session she was always diligently looking at legislation and finding like little things. So I know she'll be perfect for this job. Also, looking at her proposals, they're really, really good. So I encourage you all to vote in favor for her.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. And I just want to remind everybody before we do vote that it will not count unless your camera is on. And with that, we are now in voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 33-0-3, Adeline Hapgood is confirmed for DLEG. All right, next up, is there a motion to postpone the nomination of the Deputy Pro Tempore of Senate Relations? And are there any objections? Seeing none, we will move to Abby Matthews for Internal Legislative Assistant. What's that? Oh, how do I connect? Oh, again. You'll have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Hello, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Abigail Matthews, and I'm a junior political science major with a sports business and event management minor. I served last session as a College of Sciences senator and as the ENA vice chair during the spring semester. I also co-hosted a mental health awareness fair in both the spring and fall semester. However, I started my student government journey in the Senate Leadership Council my freshman year. This program shaped my college experience as I learned the inner workings of Senate, how to advocate for students, and gain mentors I will continue to be inspired by. This is the main reason I chose to apply for internal legislative assistant. I want to give back to the program that made me the senator I am now. My proposal is separated into 4 main statutory responsibilities of the internal legislative assistant. The first being the legislative branch's coordinator for Student Government Leadership Council. I have 3 main initiatives for this program: professionalism, internal improvements, and transparency. For many Student Government Leadership Council members, this is the first time they've been in a professional setting. To educate these members, one of the first meetings of the program, I will hold a professionalism workshop that teaches proper attire, communication between agents and council members, and civil discourse. As well as I would like to use part of Senate's operation funds to help support SGLC committees with the other coordinators and branches contributing. In SGLC, it is important to educate these council members about the legislative branch in a fitting way while also ensuring all information is accessible and clear. Coming into Senate, I know learning the committees and their scope can be overwhelming. To combat this and make information more accessible, I would like to host an optional Meet the Committee Expo. This would allow SGLCers the time to ask the chairs and vice chairs questions surrounding the legislation they see and what they do for the legislative body. At the end of the Student Government Leadership Council program, these members will rank the 3 councils they can enter. To ensure full transparency of each council before rankings, I would encourage each coordinator to submit an outline of each council's missions and the educational requirements, as well as hosting a Q&A session with previous council members who now serve as agents in student government, to allow the council members an opportunity to speak to those who have been in their shoes before. At the end of this program, I would encourage an educational presentation on the agencies and other opportunities outside of student government. The second statutory duty of an internal legislative assistant is being the sole coordinator for the Senate Leadership Council. For this program, I want to prioritize involvement, preparation, and mentorship pairings. Involvement is crucial in SLC. I believe the best way to learn is by doing. This is why I want to create a point system in SLC to highlight those who go above and beyond and attend committee meetings and Senate meetings outside of their mandated statutory requirements. I will also create a weekly and monthly calendar to share with SLCers with committee and caucus meeting times and events throughout student government to encourage participation. The main function of Senate Leadership Council is to prepare these council members for a career in the legislative branch and to educate them about the branch overall. I have 2 main initiatives to prepare these council members to be successful members of the legislative branch. I want to utilize Teams as a communication center for this program, allowing a place to attach agendas for a smooth transition once they join Senate, as well as continuing the bill exposition that was used in the program last year. In my proposal, there's a timeline for Senate Leadership Council. I won't go fully into the details as it's very extensive. The internal legislative assistant is legislative branch's liaison for the Judicial Council, Election Commission, and the student government caucuses. This is a critical part of the ILA's position as the legislative branch can thrive outside of legislation when in communication and collaborating with other branches. As liaison, I would encourage the legislative branch to learn about and collaborate on tabling opportunities on main campus and auxiliary campuses with events, as well as being the voice in the legislative branch for them in the Speaker's office. In this position, I will prioritize supporting these programs and the Speaker's office. Thank you, and I yield my time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questioning. Are there any questions for the candidate? Senator Chair Perez.
Hello. How will you make sure that Senate is fairly represented within SGLC?
Hi, thank you so much for that question. So after the other coordinators are appointed and confirmed, I plan to have meetings with them to establish expectations within our councils and within SGLC as a whole.
Senator Capinos.
Yes, thank you so much for this question. So in previous years, SGLC committees have had no money allocated to them for their budget. I plan on doing this by asking each branch if they're, first of all, able to contribute $50 each committee, as there is 3 branches and 3 committees. This money would go to them for buying things for events such as Experience, would have a budget such as like the Deezer has. So they're able to hold these events, and the Nighthon committee is able to use these funds to facilitate money for their fundraising purposes.
Sir Capinos, did you have a follow-up? Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Yes, I was planning on the $50 being for the whole entire year. If more is needed, we could talk about that as coordinators. But yes, I was planning on mainly it being used as fall when those committees are mostly in full swing.
Senator Sheriff.
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. I know this is a large issue in SGLC. So I know previously last year they used a points-based system for attendance. And I think it's just important to remind students why they're coming to these meetings and what they mean to them. Each meeting has a purpose. Each meeting they're learning something that's going to help them in their student government career. So I think just ensuring that they know that, as well as if if confirmed, I would want to have like an attendance policy somewhat for them to make sure they're attending these meetings. Obviously, they're statutory obligated to attend committee meetings and Senate meetings, but just reminding them why we're going to these meetings every single week.
Are there any other questions? Senator Grosso?
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we're now in 5 minutes of debate. Senator Smith.
Hi, everyone. I think Abby is an incredible person and will be an incredible ILA. Her initiatives are so well thought out, and her passion for this role is just so evident. So, yeah, I'm voting in favor. I urge you all to do the same.
We'll go Chair Reed and then Senator Sheriff. Senator Sheriff? Anyone else wishing to speak in debate? And if not, I will take a motion. Senator Casimiro.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 33 to 0 to 2, Abigail Matthews is confirmed as the internal legislative assistant. Next up is Olivia Smith for external legislative assistant. You have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
All right. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, it's nice to meet you. My name is Olivia. I'm going into my 3rd year, and I'm studying English literature and legal studies, and I'm from St. Augustine, Florida. I was a senator in the 57 session where I learned that I love student government. I love what we do, and I love that we get to do it together. And I quickly realized that I wanted to be a leader in this space. When I was looking at leadership options, I was immediately drawn to the external legislative assistant, or ELA, and knew that I would thrive in the position. I've been in the communications world since high school. I was editor-in-chief of my senior yearbook, a graphic design and journalism major, her campus UCF writer, and a social media intern. I have a passion for helping groups learn to communicate, because a seemingly small conversation can have a genuinely large impact. As I entered spaces where I had to facilitate these conversations, I learned how difficult it is to get people on the same page. I learned that I wanted to keep trying, and that I want to try with the Senate body. My initiatives for improving SG communication come in 3 simple steps: sharing notes, being organized, and following up. Sharing notes sounds deceptively easy. The ELA is statutorily required to schedule college dean meetings. Notes are taken at these meetings and are uploaded on the SG website, but this is often not done in a timely manner, leaving the student body out of an important conversation senators have with their deans. To fix this, I would ask senators to send dean meetings notes to their RSOs, would summarize dean meeting notes in the ELA announcements, and would share them on SG socials. If successful, these steps would be followed for senators' personal initiatives, so sending notes to RSOs, summarizing them in the agenda, and sharing them on socials. Next, I would bring a new organizational system to the communications team and SG website. As a senator who hosted numerous events in the previous session, I understand how important attendance is. Attendance is heavily reliant on the timely advertising on social media. To help ensure that posts make it up at least 24 hours before a Senate event, I would urge the communications team to use a program called Milanote. Milanote is a calendar app that allows you to import images, writing, emojis, and more into a centralized area.
Because the ELA does not have direct access to SG socials, it would allow the ELA to visually see the communication team's schedule and directly input edits. I would also tackle SG website updates alongside the ELA with the goal of making the website more accessible for students. Specifically, I would focus on putting dean meeting notes, funding resources, and the SBA concern form in a visible, clickable area. Finally, I would make sure to follow up with media agencies, university colleges, campuses, and departments. First, I would reach out to media agencies like the Charge News to schedule semesterly meetings. Then I would focus on involving the deans with the legislative process, encouraging them to attend open forum and scheduling a collaborative events with them. I would expand the dean meeting process by including a dean meeting initiative tab in the initiative tracker and implementing a post-dean meeting to discuss next steps for initiatives. In conclusion, I care about SG and I want to help the 50th session be successful. I think the ELA position is the best place for me to make the best impact. Thank you, and I yield the rest of my time to questions.
We are now in a 5-minute period of questioning. Are there any questions for this candidate? Senator Barrios.
I apologize if this has been said and I missed it, but do you have anything specific on the website that you would change?
Yeah, so my main focus is just going to be accessibility. So moving the SBA concern form, like funding resources and dean meeting notes to more of like a centralized area and a visible area on the website would be my goal for that.
Senator Capinos.
Yeah, thanks for that question. I'd definitely be open to that. It'd be a conversation to have with the Senate President's office and just kind of make sure we're all on the same page on how we want to move forward. But yeah.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we will move into 5 minutes of debate. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate? ILA Matthews.
I had the honor of working alongside Senator Smith during the 57th session, and I know she's a perfect person for this role. Her dedication to student government and the legislative branch does not go unnoticed, and her initiatives are very well thought through, so I encourage everyone to vote in favor.
Senator Capinos. Any other senators wishing to speak in debate? D-Lake Habgood.
Sorry. I will also be voting in favor of this candidate. I think she is passionate and has amazing ideas. And if her proposal is any indication, she is really good at graphic design. It's beautiful. So, move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 32 to 0 to 3, Olivia Smith is confirmed as external legislative assistant. Senator Smith. No, wrong one. Was that a question? Maybe not. Okay, we'll move on to Chief of Staff, Gia Arbucci. I don't know why that's there. What? It's on the Windows?
Yeah, you gotta click off of it. Or it might have opened it.
I've never opened this in my life. What? No. There it is. Okay. I'm so sorry. Yes, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Senate. It truly means a lot to stand before you today as the newly appointed Chief of Staff. To those I already know, I look forward to continuing those relationships. To those I have not yet had a chance to meet, I'm excited for the opportunity to work alongside you all and build meaningful connections within this branch. My name is G.R. Bucci. I'm a rising senior majoring in advertising and public relations with minors in psychology and leadership studies. But the experiences that shape me most happen outside of the classroom and in the spaces between resume lines. When I first came to UCF, I was stepping into the unknown. Coming from a small coastal town in South Florida called Stewart, I was intimidated by the idea of attending a school in a city as large and as vibrant as Orlando. I came in with a completely different major, no clear plan for what I wanted to do in my career, and honestly, no intention of getting involved. UCF quickly challenged that mindset. The more I put myself out there, the more I realized that growth does not happen by staying comfortable. That shift began when I joined SGLC and ELC leadership programs my sophomore year. What started as simply getting involved quickly became one of the most transformative and meaningful parts of my college experience. Through SGLC, I built lifelong friendships, gained confidence, developed leadership skills, and found a desire to give back to a program that had already given so much to me. Through my own experience, I saw ways the program could continue growing through stronger peer connections and more development opportunities. Because of that, I worked to incorporate networking exercises, career readiness opportunities, hands-on SG experience, and regular check-ins to help members build confidence and develop skills that will continue to benefit them long after the program ends. That experience shaped the kind of leader I want to be within the executive branch. As Chief of Staff, I want to create an environment built on support, communication, and structure. I hope to streamline communication through shared calendars, organized Teams channels, and reoccurring cabinet check-ins. I don't propose these systems simply because I think they might work. Through my experience working at a local advertising agency and in an asynchronous community marketing role, I've seen firsthand how much clear communication and organized systems can improve the way a team works together. My experience has shown me that when communication is clear and systems are organized, teams can work well together whether they are in the same room or on different schedules. Beyond internal systems, I hope to expand Welcome Week efforts by inviting more SG agencies to brunch with the branches to increase visibility and help students better understand the opportunities available within student government. I would also like to strengthen passing of the gavel by making it a more intentional transition event that connects current SG agents with alumni and builds a stronger sense of continuity between past, present, and future leaders. Within the executive branch, my approach would look different depending on who I am working alongside. I'm eager to work directly with the president and support special projects, while also being someone the team can consistently rely on for support and stability. In working with President Vicaria, Vice President Jones, and the Deputy Chief of Staff, my focus will be keeping our leadership team connected, organized, and prepared to lead effectively through consistent meetings and shared office hours. With cabinet members, my role would be more centered around support, guidance, and encouragement. I believe meaningful work comes from forming meaningful relationships, and I want cabinet members to feel supported in not only their initiatives, but also in their personal growth. Through regular check-ins, I hope to help members track progress, navigate challenges early, and access the resources they need to succeed. To me, these conversations are about more than just updates. They're about creating a collaborative environment where everyone feels supported and expectations are clear. That same mindset extends to the Division of Communications. I'm excited to bring my background in advertising and public relations to support a team through creative concepting, project development, task management, and everything in between. With weekly meetings, I plan to stay hands-on when needed while still empowering the team to lead within their own roles. When I think about serving as Chief of Staff, I think back to stepping into a new space. This time, though, I'm stepping in with humility and willingness to learn and grow. UCF gave me direction by helping me find my place, and now I want to help others find theirs by building a cabinet that feels supported, connected, and ready to serve a student body as large and as diverse as ours. Because of that experience, my goals for this role are shaped by the people and support that help me grow into the person and leader I am today. If confirmed, I hope to provide that same support to the next generation of student leaders. Thank you, and I yield the rest of my time.
All right, thank you. We're now in line for 5 minutes of questioning. Are there any questions? Senator Barrios.
Hi, thank you for coming out this evening. So I'm looking at your Executive Leadership Council proposal part. Can you explain, actually, I'm going to phrase it like this. How would members who are a part of the council benefit from being in the council if they happen to apply to the executive cabinet and they did not get their role? Like what skills will they retain from that council regardless of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. I think that really comes along partnering with the SGLC Foundation that is laid. So through that, I wanted to just implement a lot more professional development, such as elevator pitches, networking exercises, professional development, such as resume building and things like that to really be able to prepare students to step into the professional world, whether that be an SG or whether it not. I hope that they could walk into ELC no matter what and have that foundational experience. But as far as specifically ELC, one of my most memorable things and things that I learned a lot from was Black and Gold. And even though I was not the winning team and however that went, I still learned what it's like to work with a group and how it is to work with differing opinions and just be able to be on a team and be able to lean on each other. So that's how I hope that students could go through the Executive Leadership Council and still find benefit in that.
Chair Casimiro.
Hey. So you mentioned in your proposal that you plan to support the president and vice president by solving complex problems. Can you kind of outline what kind of complex problems would you be going through?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. I think right now, a lot of it comes down to, building our cabinet up and making sure everybody's prepared. So something that I could see running into really early on is making sure that everybody's going through the onboarding process and making sure that is a smooth transition. So if confirmed, I think one of the first conversations that we will have is what does this process look like to make sure that we go into the fall and making sure that everybody's prepared and knowing what budget looks like and what it's like to work in a team. So that is a complex problem I could foresee happening in the near future. But as well as that, I think it's coming in with just a sense of compassion and being able to work together and knowing that we could lean on each other, especially with the president, the vice president, and the deputy chief of staff, as we are a core team. Just making sure that we're setting these expectations early on so we're able to navigate them once these situations arise.
Are there any other questions? Senator Barrios.
Hi. So going back off of your response, now I'm going to ask something specifically regarding SGLC. So this is your outline is very front facing in terms of the skills that the students will get. So I'm just asking, would you be open to also promoting communication and media training as potential things you would want SGLCs to learn?
Absolutely. I really love that question because in my experience during SGLC, I was a part of the marketing team there. So when it comes to communications in that regard, getting that experience within social media and graphics and things of that nature, but also that's what I think is so great about Student Government Leadership Council is once you're broken into those committees, you're now getting just a more unique experience. Whereas opposed to sitting into this room of a large amount of people, it might feel a little isolating, but breaking into those committees, I think would be a great way to boost communication between members.
Senator Capinos.
Awesome. Thank you, Senator, so much for that question. As far as time commitments, I'm aware that the time commitment for Chief of Staff is 18 hours per week. So with that in mind, just making sure I'm allotting that amount of time. I do have other commitments, of course, class and things like that. But as I'm going into my senior year in advertising and public relations, a lot of the classes have been pushed later into the evening, such as 6 p.m., even to 8 p.m. So I think that really works well with my schedule of wanting to be here more in the mornings or afternoons, things like that. So I'm more than committed and prepared for this time commitment.
Okay, there is less than 30 seconds left in questioning, so I'll take either motion to extend or to move to debate. Senator ELA Smith.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we're now in 5 minutes of debate. Chair Perez.
So I had the pleasure of working with Gia, specifically in SGLC and in marketing committee, and I think she is very dedicated. She is very passionate, and I've seen that firsthand how driven she can be, and I have absolutely no doubts in her ability. So I will be voting in favor, and I urge you all to do the same.
Senator Capinos. Senator Jones and Senator Barrios.
Yeah, echoing the sentiments of the last two senators, I also knew Gia. I just want to point out, I really love that she's bringing like her ad and PR background to the SGLC committee with the elevator pitch and the networking and the professional development. I really, really love that. So I feel like she will excel in this role.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 31 to 0 to 4, Gia Arbucci is confirmed as Chief of Staff. Sophia Listman for Deputy Chief of Staff. You will have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Testing? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to be here today and for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of all of you as the appointee for Deputy Chief of Staff. Student government has truly shaped my college experience, and I'm excited for the chance to continue serving this organization in a larger leadership role. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Sophia Listman, and I'm a rising senior majoring in integrated business with a minor in legal studies. And over the past few years, I've had the opportunity to lead in several different organizations across campus that have helped me prepare for this role. My first major leadership experience within student government was serving as the Safety and Transportation Coordinator under the Lister and Brawley administration during the 2024-2025 year. In that role, I worked closely with departments like UCFPD, Parking Services, and campus partners to improve safety and transportation initiatives for students. More importantly, that role gave me a strong understanding of how student government operates behind the scenes. I learned the importance of communication, accountability, professionalism, and collaboration across branches and departments. I became very familiar with SG procedures, OSI agencies, and the operational sides of making initiatives actually happen. That experience taught me that leadership is not just about having ideas, it's about organization, follow-through, and building relationships with the people around you. Outside of student government, another role that has had a huge impact on me has been serving as the finance manager for Nighthon this past year. In this role, I helped oversee fundraising operations, sponsorship efforts, analytics, and reporting for the largest student-run philanthropy at UCF. Alongside an incredible team, we helped raise over $688,000 for Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children. What made that experience so valuable was not just the fundraising success, but the leadership behind it. I worked with multiple teams across the organization, managed reports and accountability systems, tracked organizational goals, and collaborated constantly with directors, coordinators, advisors, and external partners. I learned how to lead under pressure, how to manage moving parts at once, and how important communication is when you're supporting a large team. I also learned how to lead in a way that balances structure with approachability. I think one of my biggest strengths is that I know how to build relationships with people while still holding them accountable. People work better when they feel supported, heard, and valued, and I believe that is extremely important in a role like Deputy Chief of Staff. The reason I believe I would be a strong Deputy Chief of Staff is because this role combines so many of the things I have already experienced doing. It requires organization, communication, accountability, and operational leadership. It requires someone who can support the Vice President while also being a resource for Cabinet and the rest of student government. I genuinely enjoy creating systems that help organizations run more effectively, whether that's improving initiative tracking, organizing communication, helping Cabinet members prepare for events, strengthening inter-branch collaboration, or supporting auxiliary campuses. I'm someone who pays attention to details while still keeping a bigger picture in mind. I also believe this role requires someone who is proactive. I don't simply want to maintain systems, I want to improve them. I want Cabinet members to feel supported and prepared. I want communication across branches to feel collaborative and productive.
I want students across all campuses to feel connected to student government. And I want our administration to operate in a way that is organized, professional, and student focused. Most importantly, I care deeply about student government and the impact it has on its students. Every leadership role I've taken at UCF has been rooted in service, and I believe Deputy Chief of Staff is a position where I can make a meaningful impact, not only on cabinet, but on the student body as a whole. Thank you again for your time, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have. I yield the remainder of my time to questioning.
All right, thank you. We're now in line for 5 minutes of questioning. I'll just say beforehand, I'm not going to be sharing all of the proposals on my screen for those of you online anymore. The materials are linked on the agenda, so I trust you'll be looking at those anyways. And just a reminder that for everyone online, cameras are mandatory. Are there any questions? Senator Barrios.
Hello, thank you for coming out tonight. How do you plan to keep yourself accountable as far as Senate appointments and making sure they're done in a timely manner?
Thank you so much for your question. So I believe that Senate appointments is extremely important. I want to meet first with people in Senate to figure out what the timeline they would like to see. I would like to note that I would want to do it on a rolling basis as well as a need basis, and work with other members of cabinet like the Chief of Staff and Attorney General to also teach them that in case of my absence, they can step into the role and making sure that these appointments get done.
Are there any other questions? Senator Barrios.
Just following up off of what you said, can you explain a little what you mean by like a need basis for Senate appointments?
Yes, if there's an opening in Senate. So if there were ever to be an opening, that would, well, we can start an application for that opening.
Are there any other questions? Senator Chair Perez.
Hello. You mentioned in your auxiliary campuses that you want to enhance student outreach, and you plan on doing that by creating itinerary of events that you have coming up on the main campus. Would you also potentially work with the RSOs at the auxiliary campuses to see if there could be events where SG could be present at those as well?
Yeah, of course. Something that I was also thinking that I would love to meet with the campus leaders of the auxiliary campuses and figure out what way that we can work with them to see how we could go out to their events, they could come out to ours, and kind of figure out where we can meet in the middle with them.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move into 5 minutes of debate. Anyone wishing to speak in debate? Eileen Matthews.
I had the honor to see Sophia's work firsthand on Ninthon last year as she served on the management team. She was always there to support everyone and provide guidance, and I know she will bring these amazing leadership skills to this role, and I encourage everyone to vote in favor.
Senator Barrios.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. Okay, with a vote count of 33 to 0 to 2, Sophia Listman is confirmed as Deputy Chief of Staff.
Thank you.
Next, we have Andrea Ruiz Bordas for Attorney General. Same thing, you'll have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Speaker Sherman, Pro Tempore Kaufman, and distinguished members of the Student Body Senate. Before introducing myself, I would like to take a moment to thank all of you for your time and consideration during this confirmation process. My name is Andrea Ruiz Bordas, and I am truly honored to stand before you today as the appointee for Attorney General. I want to begin with a simple principle. The strength of student government is not just in its leadership, but in the integrity of the system that guides it. The Attorney General is the guardian of that system, not the loudest voice in the room, not the most political, but the most consistent, the most precise, and above all, the fairest. That is the standard that I hold myself to, and that is the standard that I will bring to this role. My passion for law is not abstract, but instead it is personal. As the daughter of immigrant parents, I grew up watching people I love navigate the systems that were not always easy to understand or access. That experience taught me early on that the legal system only works when people understand it, when it is fair, consistent, and applied equally to everyone. That is the belief that drives me today. It is also what has led me to pursue experiences that have prepared me directly for this role. As the previous co-captain of the UCF mock trial team, I have learned how to think on my feet, apply rules of evidence, and advocate under pressure. As the treasurer of the moot court team, I have drafted appellate briefs, and delivered constitutional arguments before attorneys and judges, experiences that have required precision, structure, and deep statutory interpretation. Beyond competition, I have worked in legal settings. At the Office of the Public Defender, I worked directly with incarcerated clients, reviewed discovery, and ensured clear communication, even with Spanish-speaking individuals who are navigating the legal system. That role has grounded me in fairness and due process. Now, as a legal assistant at King Law, I work with statutes every day, applying them, interpreting them, and understanding their real-world consequences. And through my involvement in the President's Leadership Council, I have learned what it means to represent not just a group, but an entire student body with professionalism, responsibility, and purpose. But those experiences alone do not make me a strong attorney general. My vision does. My initiatives are not just ideas. They are solutions to real gaps within student government. First, my advisory opinion digest and precedent system will ensure that the work of this office does not disappear within each administration, but by creating a structured, accessible system of prior opinions, we promote consistency, efficiency, and institutional memory. Second, my Sunshine Law and Public Records Readiness Program strengthens transparency. This is not optional, but instead is a legal obligation, and by implementing training, guidelines, and real-time support, I will ensure that every branch operates with the confidence and compliance needed. Third, my Legal Resource Hub will make statutes accessible, not just to those with legal experience, but to anyone by any student government agent, because the law should not be intimidating, it should instead be empowering. These initiatives all serve one purpose, and that is to unite the Knights in student government through clarity, accessibility, and trust. And that brings me to what I believe is most important: impartiality. The Attorney General must be neutral, not sometimes, not when it is convenient, but always. My background has trained me to separate arguments from bias, interpretation and interpretation from opinion. In mock trial, I have argued both sides, and in legal work, I have seen how decisions impact real people. These experiences have taught me that fairness is not just who you agree with, but it is about applying the law the same way every time. As Attorney General, I will not be influenced by politics, relationship, or pressure. I will be guided by the student body constitution, the statutes, and the responsibility to uphold them with integrity. Ultimately, I am not standing before you to just fill this role. I am standing before you to elevate it, to ensure that student government operates with transparency, consistency, and accountability, to ensure that every branch works together under a shared understanding of the law, and to ensure that every student feels represented, protected, and confident in a system that serves them. Because when the law is clear and when it is trusted, that is when we truly unite the Knights. Thank you for your time and consideration. I respectfully ask for your trust and support. It would be an honor to be confirmed and serve you and the student body that each and every one of you serve tirelessly as your Attorney General. Thank you so much, and I yield the rest of my time to the chair.
Okay, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questioning. D-Leg Habgood, then Senator Berrios.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. As Attorney General, you will be writing lots of opinions and interpreting our statutes. Just out of curiosity, what is your opinion on using AI at all to either go through the statutes or write your opinions?
I would make sure that when I am writing my opinions that I am looking at the statutes first and interpreting them myself. I wouldn't want to have any errors, so I would make sure to do it on my own.
Thank you for coming out tonight. So I'm looking at your initiatives, and I just want to say that the Golden Rule is a critical component of UCF that may be jarring for students. It's a 92-page document, and it is dictated in statute specifically for a 2.1D. It explains your role in it. So I was just wondering if you would be open to creating another program or incorporating it into your Sunshine Law and Public Records Readiness Program, a component about the golden rule so students can feel more absorbed about what it's talking about?
Of course, I actually think that's a great idea. And as Attorney General, I would be very open to understanding what students struggle with. As the Golden Rule, as you stated, is a 92-page document. It is quite a read. But I would really want to make sure that all students are prepared and ready when coming into UCF and understanding what our rules are, what our statutes look like, and what the Golden Rule looks like. So yes, I would be very open to that.
Senator Capinos?
Of course, and thank you so much for that question. I think that with any role comes organization, and that's something that I've developed through high school as well as through college, just being able to manage my time efficiently. So Google Calendar, as probably to you all, is my best friend. So I love organization and planning ahead, and so that's one thing that I will make sure to be doing as Attorney General. I've also specifically made times in my schedule to be able to serve my duties. So Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays are open for me. I make sure that I'm a part-time legal assistant. And so in my job, my boss is actually the moot court coach. So he's very amenable to making sure that my academics come first and whatever requirements I have, I am fulfilling them. And so that is a very flexible workspace, thankfully, that I have. So yeah, honestly, it's all about organization for me. It's about staying on track. And that's something that I plan to do as Attorney General, making sure that any kind of statutory requirements are communicated, that you all know them, that I know them, and that they are planned in advance, and that I'm able to serve you all as efficiently as possible.
Are there any other questions? Oh, Deeser? No. Senator Capinos, and then Eli Smith.
Yes, of course. So I do have availabilities, as I mentioned, on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. These are just like general days that I'm free so that I don't have work. That's what I meant to say with that. I have work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least as of now, but I can make that amendable. Currently, I do serve on the moot court team. And so as of right now, some of our practices are scheduled on Thursdays, but I have communicated this to my moot court team. And also I plan on serving and being part of and sitting in on, or not being a part of, sorry, apologies, sitting in on committee meetings and just having an understanding of what's going on in Student Body Senate.
Move to vote. Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. And a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in 5 minutes of debate. Senator Berrios.
So I was looking at this candidate's resume, and I think that based off of what I heard in ENA and tonight, that this candidate would be very good for this position. She has a clear legal background, which will be great for interpreting our statutes. I understood that there may have been a little bit of a rocky component to statutes, and I think if a senator is thinking of voting in negation, they shouldn't, because statutes are very easy to read and anyone can read them at any time. It's a very amendable fix, and I think with your background, it will be exceptional to have you in this role.
Chair Grosso.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 31 to 1 to 3, Andrea Ruiz Bordas is confirmed as Attorney General. Next up, we have William Menke for Comptroller.
Chair, members of the Senate, thank you for your opportunity to sit before you today. My name is William Menke, and I'm a rising senior pursuing a degree in finance, and I'm honored to stand as your appointee for Student Body Comptroller. 3 years ago, I arrived at the University of Central Florida from out of state with nothing but a suitcase and a significant amount of uncertainty. I left behind the familiar to come to a place where I did not know a single soul, no support system, no safety net. Just a campus of 60,000 people and the overwhelming feeling of being just another face in the crowd. I remember that feeling of being surrounded by a sea of opportunity, yet not knowing how to dive in. It took more than just time to find my place. It took the courage to step outside my comfort zone and the willingness to build a home from the ground up. That experience changed my perspective forever. It taught me that belonging isn't an accident, it is built. Behind every organization that gives a student a sense of purpose and every event that sparks lifelong friendship, there's a system of support making it possible. I realized that if you want to protect the student experience, you have to protect the foundation it sits on. My journey through leadership has been a lesson on the importance of integrity and impact. In my first semester as a member of Delta Sigma Pi, America's foremost co-ed business fraternity, I was elected chancellor, where I was responsible for upholding the chapter's bylaws, policies and procedures, and standards committee processes. It taught me to treat governing documents not as obstacles, but as the framework that makes fair execution possible, and to enforce them consistently, regardless who is on the other side of the table. As vice president of new member education for that same chapter, I realized that leadership isn't about managing tasks, it's about building people. I learned how to translate complex expectations into clear communication, turning 25 strangers into a unified team. Since the fall 2025 semester, I have served as chapter secretary of Pi Kappa Alpha. In this position, I serve as the keeper of our records, where I learned that accuracy and documentation is not bureaucratic, it is protective. It is what allows an organization to defend its decisions and earn the trust of the people it serves. I have had the honor to represent both of these organizations, not just on a campus level, but on a national scale, by attending professional leadership and networking conferences in Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Virginia Beach, Virginia. These experiences taught me the value of organizational diligence and the discipline required to represent something larger than yourself with consistency and care. They have also shown me what strong governance looks like in practice. Chapters and organizations that thrive are the ones where structure, transparency, and accountability are not afterthoughts, but the foundation on which everything else is built. Each of these roles have taught me the same lesson from a different angle. Accountability is not paperwork, it is trust, demonstrated consistently. The Comptroller's Office is fundamentally about that trust. Title IV and Title VIII of the Student Body Statutes gives this position a clear charge: to oversee the allocation and accountability of student funds. I have studied that charge carefully, and the conclusion I continuously draw is that the office's two responsibilities, being accountable and being approachable, are not in conflict. They reinforce each other. A comptroller who is approachable hears about problems early, and a comptroller who is accountable addresses those problems immediately and fairly. That belief shapes how I intend to approach this office. Protecting student funds means protecting the students that those funds represent. It means building processes that are transparent by default, not by request. It means equipping RSO leaders with the knowledge and confidence to navigate the budgeting process, rather than asking them to navigate the complexities alone. It also means treating every cycle as an opportunity to listen, refine, and improve, because a stronger office next year is the truest measure of a job well done this year. This is precisely the system I needed when I was a freshman trying to find my footing here. It's a system that says to every student, your opportunity is supported, your voice is heard, and your funds are handled with the care they deserve. I came to UCF not knowing anyone. I stand here now knowing exactly where I belong. If confirmed, I will work every day to build that same sense of belonging, that same standard of service and compliance for every student this office serves. I thank you and yield my time for questions.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questioning. Senator Barrios.
3, if I may.
You may.
Okay. So part of your proposal, you mentioned a it includes a sports club council allocation. Can you explain why that's the only agency you included?
For that one, that was the only one that I was notified that would require some external assistance being in on both of those meetings. It came to my attention that they've come to be relatively lengthy and have taken up a good amount of time. So just out of support and have a good backing, I figured that it would be a beneficial something for me to do with the the budgeting background as well.
All right, and then my next question is, if an SG agent requests an audit or wants to know specifically what an agency or department is spending their activity and service fee funds on, how would you go about working with that agent?
Yeah, so I would notify them about the process that we do have. Statutorily, that is the one of the responsibilities of the finance office. So I would notify them that I will meet with the finance office. We will conduct that audit, and then we will present it and send it the following week.
All right, and then my last one is, how do you plan to keep yourself accountable for this role as you are dealing with student funds?
Throughout my leadership experience, it has been a very objective path, especially dealing with student funds. There isn't much room for personal input or relationships to get in the way of it by any means. So with that, I'm fully confident that I will be able to hold myself accountable to those objective truths and beliefs in dealing with the finances. So whether it be a budget account not matching or a misuse of funds, that is a very straight line and direct problem that can be addressed and solved without the input of any personal belief or other right way to go about it.
Are there any other questions? Oh, Senator Casimiro.
Hey, what is your timeline with establishing communications and strengthening relationships with the fiscal committees?
Thank you for your question, Senator. So there are different timelines with, there are statutory timelines with other committees, but in terms of CRT, FAO, and ORS, I will use the rest of this summer to set up those meetings and with the ANSF business office as well. So I would be more than happy to, pending confirmation, start outreach as soon as I can with my starting date.
Chair Perez.
In your proposal, you mentioned auxiliary campuses and wanting to work with the auxiliary campus leaders. Could you walk us a little bit more through that in your proposal?
Of course. Thank you for your question. I would utilize the caucus leadership in the intercampus and transfer caucus to see if there are any situations or if there are any areas in which they don't feel or which they could feel like their funds could be represented more. And I would meet with them and see if that is something that we would be able to move funding around for. And then again, with that, it does come consistent communication as well, not just a one-time meeting basis, but meeting with them consistently and having that outreach time and time again to see if there are any instances to which we could allocate funds for them.
Chair Grosso.
Could you elaborate with as much specificity as you can what your direct experience is with handling large volumes of funds and budgets?
Of course I can. Thank you so much for your question. So my experience in dealing with funds comes from the strict RSO standpoint. I have dealt with the funds that are budgeted in RSO, so I am familiar with the use of external funds. I have dealt with the funds of my peers. So in dealing with that comes I've always liked to think about it more as a percentage deal rather than the amount of funds as it is. That could, again, seem like a very daunting task, and it's always meant to be taken seriously. But I prefer to think about it as percentages of funds transferred rather than a dollar figure. So To me, I would go about the same way as a $10 transaction as I would with a $100,000 transaction. They carry the same weight of being funds of my peers, and they carry the same weight in a percentage aspect.
Questioning time has elapsed. I will take a motion. Eli Smith.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in 5 minutes of debates. Any senators wishing to speak in debate? If not, Senator Barrios.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures. Please, everyone online, if you are not here in person, have those cameras on. Just makes our lives easier so you don't have to go back and check the record. All right, with a vote count of 30 to 2 to 4, William Menke is confirmed as comptroller. Next is Sophie Kratom for Director of Student Affairs.
Hello. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is truly an honor to be before you today. My name is Sophie Kratom, and I'm so excited for the opportunity to serve as a Director of Student Affairs. I am originally from Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm going into my third year here at UCF. I'm studying advertising and public relations with a minor in event management. Throughout my time at UCF, I've become deeply involved in organizations and experiences that have strengthened my passion for student engagement and creating meaningful experiences for others. This past year, I served on the executive board for Nithon as the special projects director, where I helped plan fundraising events and initiatives that brought students together for an incredible cause. In this role, I also led a team of 8 members and worked closely alongside a coordinator, which taught me how to communicate effectively, support a team, and keep things organized while working toward a shared goal. That experience has prepared me to lead and support the 5 coordinators within the Student Affairs team if confirmed for this role. I also currently serve as a community service assistant for Chi Omega, where I help plan philanthropy events supporting Make-A-Wish Central and Northern Florida. Through that role, I've gained hands-on experience on creating fun and meaningful events. It's taught me how much planning and teamwork happens behind the scenes into making an event successful. During my first year here, I was involved in Student Government Leadership Council and later Executive Leadership Council, where I had the opportunity to volunteer behind the scenes at large-scale events like Winter Wonderland and Universal Nights. Those events were honestly some of the highlights of my UCF experience, and I know so many other students feel the same way. Seeing the excitement and joy those events bring to campus showed me how important these experiences really are in helping students feel connected and creating memories they'll carry long after college. Being able to help put on events like those would genuinely mean so much to me because I know how much happiness they bring to others. I truly love this university and the community that makes UCF so special. This campus has given me incredible friendships, leadership opportunities, and experiences that have shaped who I am today. Because of that, this role feels like a passion project for me. I love bringing people together and creating experiences that students can look back on long after graduation. If confirmed, I'm excited to support my entire Student Affairs team with any events or initiatives they are passionate about creating. I also look forward to working closely with the different caucuses to make sure our events feel welcoming, inclusive, and enjoyable for every student on campus. I want students to feel proud to be a Knight whenever they attend one of our events. I also hope to be someone my coordinators feel comfortable coming for support and encouragement throughout the year. I hope to bring creativity, positivity, and enthusiasm into this role while always keeping the students at the center of everything that I do. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of questioning. I'll go Chair Casimiro and Senator Barrios.
Hello, thank you for being here. I do like the initiative of the clothing drive. I was just wondering, do you have like anybody, like anyone in mind, like you're gonna give it to, like you're gonna donate these clothing to?
Thank you so much for your question. I would love to partner with Volunteer UCF and see if they have any local organizations they would love to partner with as well. But I'm open to anything. It's really what the students would like from that.
Thank you for coming tonight. So, although it's not statutorily bound for this position, at least I don't think it is. I just checked. Your job is primarily focused on students, Director of Student Affairs. So, I noticed on your proposal, and I apologize if I missed it, but there is no section about how you're going to work with the coordinators, such as the academic coordinators, the safety and transportation coordinators. You get the idea. So can you explain to the Senate body like how you're going to work with them?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your question. I would love to have monthly meetings with my entire division and just stay in constant communication with them. If they need to meet one-on-one, I'm there for them at any time. Throughout my SGLC experience, I was able to go to all like their events. So I've seen the behind the scenes, and I'm so down to just bounce ideas off of them and just be like what they need for me this year.
We'll go Chair Reed and then Senator Capinos.
Thank you so much for your question. Yes, every 30 days I will report to Senate and tell them what I'm up to. I'd love to sit in on the caucuses and see like how I can make my events just easier for everyone to attend and just include everyone in there. Yeah.
Senator Capinos.
Yeah, thank you so much for your question, Senator. The block party was like an option B. My priority would be to have the online ticket distribution. And I made this proposal a few months ago, and I've gotten so much feedback about the block party. So honestly, like sending out a survey, if people prefer the multiple day distribution, then we can just keep it at that. But if people would like to see a 1 day distribution, so it's like less waiting in time, like less waiting in line, then I would work with that as well. So just open to whatever the students would like to see.
Chair Reed and then Senator Barrios.
Thank you so much for your question. Working with UCF PD, seeing their availability, seeing, where they think the line should go, or I haven't worked out exactly all the logistics of it, but once you figure out budget and like what we, what the event would like entail, then we could work with PD and see like where they're needed and the exact logistics of like what safety would entail.
Senator Barrios, there's about 45 seconds left in question.
Move to extend questioning by 30 seconds.
There's been a motion to extend questioning by 30 seconds. And I think a second. Seeing no objections, it's like 1 minute and 15. Yeah.
Right. So one of the things in your proposal that I think is a very good thing for students is the clothing drive. It's more so on the social welfare of students. And the social welfare of students can include areas like health, transportation, basically those things that the coordinators deal with. But do you have any other ideas that would delve into that topic aside from just the clothing drive?
I like that question. Thank you so much. I haven't thought about it, but the clothing drive was just a way for more people to participate in Winter Wonderland. It's such a large event. I would love for as many people as possible to participate in it, but I'd be open to like bounce ideas off of any way students can get involved and how we can have them attend the event and stuff.
My questioning time has elapsed again, so I'll take a motion. Eli Smith.
Move to debate.
There's been motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in 5 minutes of debates. Ooh. Senator Sheriff, and then Barrios.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 30 to 3 to 4, Sophie Kratom is confirmed as Director of Student Affairs. And just for the future, since I realized if there was an objection, I wouldn't be able to hear it. If you just want to raise your hand, if you would want to object to any motions, if you're online in the future. Next is Caitlin Manny for Governmental Affairs Coordinator.
I'm sorry. All right. Okay. Good evening, Senators. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for your time, consideration, and the opportunity to speak before you today regarding the position of Governmental Affairs Coordinator. It is truly an honor to be here. My name is Caitlin Manny, and I'm an upcoming senior here at UCF, majoring in economics with a minor in public administration. I'm a first-gen student, I'm a commuter student, and I'm also a transfer student from Daytona State College, which is one of UCF's partner institutions. And this month marks my 2 years since I officially became a Knight. Coming to UCF was one of the best decisions I have ever made. UCF granted me opportunities I never imagined that I would have access to, and pushed me both personally and professionally. And because of that, I would be honored to give back to this university through this role. My background is a little different than what people may traditionally expect in government affairs. For the past 5 years, I have worked at a chicken salad chick where I currently serve as an assistant manager. While this may sound unrelated at first, that experience has shaped so much of who I am as a leader and a communicator. Working in the service industry teaches you very quickly how to adapt, communicate, and problem solve under pressure. I can effectively lead a team, manage conflict professionally, multitask, and work with a diverse group of people. These skills are incredibly important in any leadership role, but especially one centered around advocacy and representing students. It has also taught me accountability. Leadership is not just about giving orders. It's about being dependable, adaptable, and willing to step up when needed. And most importantly, I can confidently say I know how to make 20 flavors of chicken salad, which I think should count for something. But outside of the service industry, one of the most impactful experiences I've had was serving as a legislative scholar this past session as an intern with Gray Robinson. That experience completely changed my perspective on government and public policy because I got to experience it firsthand and learn from a great team. As UCF's contract lobbying firm, Gray Robinson plays a major role for advocating for us at the state level. So having the opportunity to enter there gave me insight into how higher education advocacy works in practice. During session, I attended committee meetings, floor sessions, and policy discussions. I tracked legislation, assisted with reports, and observed how relationships are built and maintained. I had the opportunity to interact with elected officials, staffers, lobbyists, and professionals from all across the state of Florida.
Being effective in government is not just about knowing politics. It's about the communication, the preparation, the professionalism, and the trust behind it. If confirmed as GAC, my advocacy starts with listening. We cannot represent people if we don't understand their concerns first. The role of GAC is not here to represent my own opinions, but I would advocate for the student body as a whole. Most recently, I have been involved in voter engagement and community outreach through volunteering on a congressional campaign for Sarah Ulrich for Florida District 7. If confirmed as GAC, one of my biggest goals would be making government affairs and civic engagement feel more accessible to students. I would love to continue growing opportunities like Day at the Capitol and Downtown Day because those experiences truly inspire students to get involved in public service. Public policy impacts every student, whether it's related to tuition, housing, internships, or higher education funding. And I think a lot of students, and I used to be one of them, feel very intimidated by this process because they think they need to know everything. But one of the roles that I want to take on is helping those students feel confident enough and understand that their voice matters. I would love to continue strengthening relationships between student government and elected officials. Bringing those individuals to our campus for discussions and events can help students better understand the issues impacting them and get more involved in the process. Additionally, one thing I care deeply about is encouraging civil dialogue and helping students engage with different viewpoints in a constructive way. I understand that this role comes with a high level of responsibility and professionalism. I believe my experiences in leadership, legislative affairs, advocacy, and public engagement have prepared me well for this opportunity. More importantly, I believe I have the passion and the work ethic necessary to give this role everything I have. But above all else, I want to be someone who is there for you guys. I want to be approachable, hardworking, collaborative, and genuinely committed to serving students. UCF has given me so much over the past 2 years, and I would truly be grateful for the opportunity to give back through this position. Thank you all again for your time and consideration, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have, and I yield the rest of my time for questioning.
All right, we're now in 5 minutes of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Reed and then Senator Barrios.
Thank you so much for that question. So as an intern with Gray Robinson, I actually got to help Chris Carmody and Kylie Inzuedo organize Day at the Capitol. And I just want to say last year went so phenomenal. I didn't attend with you guys, but as an intern there, I had a great time. So I would love to continue expanding on what Allie and Carmody and Kylie did and add our own initiatives and make it better each year. So.
Thank you for coming out tonight. So, may I ask 2 questions? Okay, so my first question is, how are you going to learn students' legislative concerns as the student body contains over 70,000 students?
Thank you so much for that question. That's a very good one. So my advocacy agenda would start with gathering student input. So surveys, tabling events, talking to our RSOs. I would love to work with the GAP committee as well to turn those concerns into actionable priorities that align with our legislator to make sure that we can get something done.
All right, and then the second one is that because of Day at the Capitol, it has a very large impact on the reflection of student government, but more importantly, the university. So how are you going to initiate effective but appropriate communication with regards to GAP and your role when lobbying at the Capitol to legislators?
Thank you so much for that question. So prior to actually going to Tallahassee, I want to work with the GAP committee to host prep sessions for the students selected to go. I want them to feel confident enough to lobby effectively, know who they're talking to. I want them to know how the bill process works. So working with GAP to prepare those students and then working on the logistics behind it too. So transportation, scheduling, and then working very closely with Gray Robinson, Carmody, and Kylie Inzuedo as well. I think we're better together, all of us. So I think we can really put a good team together and make sure that Day at the Capitol and Downtown Day are amazing for both the students and also for the legislators.
Good. D-Like have good, Chair Grosso.
All right, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Just out of curiosity, well, not really out of curiosity, because this is a election year and we're going to have the midterms, do you have anything specific about how you want to deal with that as the governmental affairs coordinator, or getting more students registered to vote, that sort of thing?
Thank you so much for that question. I'm so glad you asked it. So this year is a midterm year, and volunteering on a congressional campaign has made me very aware of voter turnout, and it's not as high as we would like to for young voters. So I would like to host voter registration events on campus, even bringing in anybody who's running for Congress as well, or even for state and local legislator. So I want to work also with Orange County Supervisor of Elections, because I'm not a voter of Orange County, I'm a voter of Volusia County, but I have heard from a lot of people that coming to UCF main campus to vote takes a lot out of their day. And I would really like to work with the Orange County Supervisor of Elections to get more polling booths. Last session, there was a bill that was passed that allowed high schoolers to volunteer at the polling locations. So if we can even pull in the local high school students who want to volunteer just to make voting more accessible on campus, I would be happy to do so.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. I see there's a hand. Sherry, is that an objection? Cherry, is that an objection?
Yeah.
Do you withdraw?
Yeah.
Cherry.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. So the application process, working with the GAP committee again, I'm confident I cannot do this role by myself, so I see their input as essential and crucial. So together, I would like to make the application process structured but inclusive. What I'm looking for in an applicant is someone who is committed, they have leadership experience, and do they have the ability to represent UCF professionally? I would like to look for students across all disciplines, because when we're going to Tallahassee and we're advocating for UCF's full future and a diverse student body.
Questioning time has elapsed, so I'll take a motion. Senator Barrios.
Move to extend questioning time by 30 seconds.
There's been a motion to extend questioning time by 30 seconds and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, you have 30 seconds.
All right. So kind of going off of what I was asking earlier with advocacy, do you have a specific quota of students you want to reach? Because like legislative affairs are very important, so it matters how many people you're actually reaching for these decisions.
Thank you so much for that question. So immediately off the top of my dome, I'm going to say as many as we can, as many as we fiscally can bring, but I know that's, not a number. So I would have to look at, how many they brought last year, look at our budget, because the more the merrier, in my opinion. UCF is one of the largest schools in our nation, one of the largest in Florida. So we should really make our presence aware. So I don't have a number right now, but I'm willing to get back to you on that.
All right, and questioning time has elapsed again, so I'll take a motion. Eli Smith.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting. No, we're now in debate. 5 minutes of debate. Anyone wishing to speak in debates? Seeing none. Oh, Delia Captain.
I think this candidate has a great background and a real dedication to her work. So move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Senator Capinos, is that an objection? No. Seeing no objections, we are now in voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 30-1-3, Caitlin Manny is confirmed as Governmental Affairs Coordinator. All right, last for confirmations. Like I said, congratulations to all of the new executive cabinet members, and we'll be confirming the rest of the cabinet next week. Yeah. Last, we have Eric Callis for College of Sciences, seat 13. Sorry, just really quickly before you begin, is there a motion to postpone the nomination of Zoe Malone for Director of Communications? And any objections? Seeing none, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Hello, Senate. It is great to be back. Just to give you guys a little, I'll keep it brief here. But back in October, I was appointed as senator for the College of Business, and I served until the end of the 57th session. And in spring, I was voted into the College of Business. However, in between the election and now, the start of this session, I changed majors. I changed from integrated business to anthropology with a focus on archaeology. So yes, to answer your question, I will be dressing up as Indiana Jones for Halloween. But that means I'm switching to the College of Sciences. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much, and take any questions you guys have.
We're now in 5 minutes of questioning. Senator Barrios.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Senator Barrios again.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures. All right, with a vote count of 36 to 0 to 1, Eric Callis is confirmed for College of Sciences seat 13. Congratulations. All right, and that, once I get that up to screen. That will do it for confirmations today. We have no internal legislation. Is there anyone wishing to speak in Senate forum? Seeing none, just in the future, if anyone is wishing to speak, you can add your name there on the list, and I will call on you in that order. Senate deliberation, none. Advisors report, Ashley.
Happy Thursday, Senate. It's week 2. I am very happy to see the faces that are online and in person with us this week. As you can see from my report, the theme of today was to pivot. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us today, folks, to figure out all the technical difficulties. So hopefully next week it'll go a little smoother, but also thank you to our union partners for trying to help us figure that out so diligently and so quickly. So just so you all know, all inquiries about committee membership from this point forward should go to Owen, not me. Send him a message, email something about if you'd like to be resigned from a committee or anything like that. He handles those from this point forward. You were seeing a lot of me in between sessions because we did not have our Senate leadership, right? And so now some of those responsibilities are going to their rightful folks. Congratulations to all of our new committee chairs. Some I've already met with, some I'll be meeting with soon and sending messages to soon. And also, congratulations for a great first week to Owen and Ryan. Ryan chaired all of these committees, had all of the agendas together, did all of the materials. Yes. That takes a lot of organizations and presence, right? Think about the fact that y'all had to show up to 1, maybe 2, very few people, 3 committees. He was at every single one on top of chatting with me and Owen and doing interviews. So he did a wonderful job. And to Owen as well for his first full week in the role. He ran his interviews. He was meeting with me, I think, every single day and trying to get everything squared away for you all. So y'all have wonderful leaders at the helm. Other notes from me, just know that from now on, the link to join the meeting virtually will be alongside the agenda, right? So they all will be in the same place so that everyone that needs to join virtually can. So look there first, not in the Senate channel for that. And just so you all know, I don't know if y'all are aware, we're not telling you to keep your cameras on just because we want to see your lovely faces. It's because we don't allow proxy voting, right? And so for all we know, when your camera is off, it could be your sister, it could be your brother, it could be your cat. We don't know who is voting, right? Otherwise, if you were in this room physically, we wouldn't allow for you to tell the person to your left or your right, hey, press this, I'm going to the restroom. Your vote would just not be counted for that instance, right? So understanding that y'all are here and logging on virtually because you still want to be engaged and you still want to be doing your duty, that part of that is keeping your cameras on as if you were sitting here in person, right? So I do appreciate folks that did that. It makes our lives easier of making sure on the back end that the voting record is accurate. So I just want to make sure we understand why that's happening. Other things, I also shout out to, I keep messing up your name. Is it Grosso or Grosso? Grosso, to Chair Grosso too, for jumping into all things confirmations. Like immediately he's been seeing all of these people and managing these materials and communications as well. And then also now that our committees are up and running, which means folks will be popping into the office. One, remember to introduce yourselves to the front desk. I cannot emphasize this enough. They're starting to chat with me now about like, who are these people? Who should I be connecting with, right? So make sure you're introducing yourself. Make sure to clean up after yourselves as you start getting more comfortable in the space. And then just know, if you are not doing committee business that runs over the time of 5 o'clock, I will kick you out. The office closes at 5 on every day but Thursday, as you can see, so that folks are coming in and out for their business. But just know, the office is closed at 5. When I pack my bag up and I exit that door, nobody should be behind me unless otherwise noted, okay? And just so you know, I've been explaining this to folks because some folks will get door access. It's a safety concern. If anything is happening on this campus for an emergency and I know that office is supposed to be empty and it's not, that's a problem, right? So make sure that if you are going to be there later, I am notified. That way I know maybe I need to stay back. But just know that is a safety thing, right? We want to make sure we are accountable, know where our people are when our people are there, right? Ethics training, just so you know, I know some folks who are already enrolled were having trouble finding the quiz. And so I've made sure the quiz tab is visible to everyone. So if you were already enrolled, you already took it and you were having trouble finding it, check there. If you don't see it, let me know. Some folks, Olivia, shout out to you, have been helping me figure out who can see it and who hasn't. So if you're unable to see it, it may not be a you problem. Just reach out to me via email or Teams and I can try to get that settled for you. Okay, so now that I have all my business, our national day of for today, drum roll, please. It is International Tea Day. So for our tea drinkers, this is your day to shine. If you're not a tea drinker, I'm sure there's a tea out there for you. I got Amanda on matcha very recently, so I will be a matcha advocate if necessary, but that's it for me.
All right, are there any questions for Ashley? Seeing none, Maite? Oh, sorry, none. And no, miscellaneous business appointments. Just before I read these out,
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right.
I may regret doing this. Is there anyone who wants to change, resign from, be appointed to a new committee based on like committee times, anything like that? And before that, Eric, which committees would you like to be appointed to? All right. Any takers on changing it before next week? If not, that's great. All right, I hereby appoint Ali Hagenbook to SBA, Jalen Miller and Darian McNulty to GAP, Matthew Gregg to ORS, and Eric Callis to LJR. I hereby resign Sahasra Satvika from Senate, Madeline Phillips and Abigail Matthews from SBA, Kelly Perez from CRT, Diana Wynn, Nicholas Licht, Matthew Gregg from FAO, and Ali Hagenbook from GAP. All right, in an unexpected turn of events, we have time to do some senator shoutouts. I'll go Chair Casimiro, ILA Matthews, and Senator Barrios.
Join RS, please. I would love to have y'all. It's at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. I already know you're going to be there, Zach. Yeah. Also, shout out to all the committee chairs that just got appointed this week. You guys are awesome. I'm so glad to be working with y'all this session. And if you need me, I'm also a person, not just a chair, so you can talk to me. Also, for my vice chair elections, please send me any materials if you guys are planning to run, because it's going to be a great session.
Okay, this is from me and Victoria, but shout out Elias, because we were laughing over here when you were getting asked to talk like every 5 seconds. So shout out you, and also shout out Olivia and Owen. Speakers off, let's go.
I just want to shout out everyone. I was like dreading earlier that we were going to go past 9. We didn't. I was really not expecting that. So hats off to everyone.
And just for the newer senators, you probably already got the gist at this point, but Senator shout outs is just time at the end of the meeting. Shout out anybody who you would like to. I don't have a list of the people who have their hands up. Do you? I'll go McNulty and Capinos. Oh. Yes. Senator Capinos. Chair Perez.
I want to shout out anyone who ran for anything this week. It was very stressful. You put yourself out there. Good job. And I also want to shout out anyone who's potentially going to run for something in the future, whether it's a vice chair position or something in the caucuses. Just put yourself out there and you'll do great. So yeah, shout out to everyone who's doing that.
Yeah. Any other senator shout outs? Do you like Hubgood?
First, shout out Ryan for telling me to apply like 3 times. I really appreciate it. I'm glad I did. And also shout out everyone who tried to make the sound work. That looked really stressful, but you guys got it.
Senator Barrios.
Move to adjourn pending final roll call.
There's been a motion to adjourn pending final roll call. And a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Pro Tem Kaufman.
Can we have the here in the chat ready? And I have the chat pulled up on my phone, so I will see it as it comes in. Let me pull this
Yes, everybody online, if you could just say here as soon as your name is called. And also, please, if you're physically here, do not start packing up until he is finished.
Okay. Hagenbook.
Here. Oh, yeah.
Reed. Olivia Smith.
Here.
Casimiro.
Present.
Capinos. Sadvika is resigned. Wacker.
Present.
Critchfield. Jane. Kelly Perez. Sherman.
Here.
Danae Smith. Bella Leahy. Gentile. Greg.
Here.
Lusht. McNulty. Miller.
Here.
Patel. Rashid.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
El Harak. Gaudio. Kanuja. Cranova. Rickett. Hayter. Makadia. Phillips. Beauvais.
Here.
Montanez. Nunez Ferreira. Wen. Habgood.
Here.
Perez.
Here.
Barber. Barrios,
Here.
Grosso,
Here.
Jones,
Present.
Matthews,
Here.
McRae, Nurse Madavra, Renda, Sheriff, Simmons, Vieira, Ziven. (40 out of 49, quorum is verified.
All right, I adjourn this meeting at 8:48 p.m. Have a great week. Not that bad.
Waiting for it to pop up in the chat is so funny, bro.